Imagine seeing cows flying through the air. Sounds wild, right? But it's actually happening on farms across the world. In countries like Australia and the US, ranchers are using helicopters and drones to manage huge herds of cattle. These aren't just ordinary ranches. Some are so massive that traditional methods like horseback riding or trucks just can't get the job done. The cattle industry, which feeds millions of people worldwide, has faced a lot of challenges in managing these massive herds. We're talking about land that's bigger than some countries and thousands of cows spread out over it. But with the help of modern technology, ranchers are now able to cover more ground faster and more safely than ever before. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at how these high-tech tools are changing the game for farmers. From flying cows to efficient ranching across huge landscapes, we'll dive into how technology is making a huge difference in the world of agriculture. Stick around to find out how farmers are making this all work and why it matters more than ever. Ranching isn't just about farming cows. It's about managing thousands of animals across vast stretches of land. Picture this, a ranch that spans hundreds of thousands of acres. Now, imagine trying to find and round up a herd of cows that might be scattered over all that land. Traditional methods, like using horses or trucks, were once the go-to solutions. But the problem is, these methods just don't cut it anymore. Why? Well, first of all, the size of ranches has exploded. In places like Australia, ranchers are dealing with massive, open landscapes that stretch out as far as the eye can see. Some of these ranches are so huge that even with dozens of cowboys, it would take days to gather all the cattle together. And that's just one part of the problem. Cattle also roam freely, often in remote areas that are tough to reach. On top of that, you've got unpredictable weather, rough terrain, and constant threats from predators and disease. These factors make managing a herd more complicated than ever. Think about this. A cow can wander off, get sick, or even get stuck in a place where a human can't reach. If ranchers can't spot these issues early, it could mean big losses, both in terms of cattle and profit. Let's take a look at history for a second. In the past, ranchers used horseback riding to cover large areas and herd cattle. But as time went on, even that method started to show its limits. Horses can't cover massive distances quickly, and they're vulnerable to the same environmental challenges that the cattle face. So what do you do when traditional methods stop working? Well, some ranchers turn to helicopters. It sounds crazy, right? But helicopters made a huge difference. These machines could hover above the land and give ranchers an aerial view of their herds, allowing them to spot problems from miles away. They could herd cattle from the air, saving time, energy, and a whole lot of manpower. But even with this innovation, the job was still difficult. Pilots had to navigate through harsh winds, unpredictable weather, and tight spaces. And it wasn't foolproof. One mistake could lead to lost cattle or even a dangerous crash. As if that wasn't enough, the demand for beef has been rising year after year. With more mouths to feed, the pressure on ranchers to produce more efficiently has never been higher. But with all the challenges they face, from remote locations to unpredictable weather, the old ways of doing things just aren't enough anymore. Ranchers needed a solution that could handle the scale of modern cattle ranching while overcoming all the obstacles in their way. That's where technology stepped in. But it wasn't just about making things easier, it was about making ranching safer and more efficient. New tools were needed to help ranchers manage their herds without sacrificing the quality of their product or their workers' safety. The stakes were high. This wasn't just a matter of convenience, It was about the future of ranching itself. As ranching faced bigger and tougher challenges, innovation became the key to survival. The traditional methods, while tried and tested, couldn't keep up with the growing demands of modern farming. That's when technology took center stage, offering groundbreaking solutions to problems that had been around for decades. Helicopters are probably the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about modern ranching methods. But while they've become iconic in the world of cattle herding, they weren't always as advanced as they are today. In the early days, pilots would rely on their experience to maneuver around the vast expanses of land, trying to keep up with the herd from the air. The problem? Precision was difficult, and accidents were common, with rough winds and unpredictable terrain often making the job much harder than it needed to be. But helicopters revolutionized ranching by offering an aerial view that was previously impossible. It allowed ranchers to keep track of their herds without the physical limitations of horseback riding. Imagine being able to see a group of cattle from miles away, or spot an injured cow in an area that would have taken hours to reach on foot. For large ranches, helicopters save time and money. In places like Australia, where cattle ranching covers an area as vast as 1.3 million acres, helicopters became a game changer. But even helicopters had their limits. They could cover a lot of ground, but they were expensive, required highly skilled pilots, and still posed risks to the safety of the animals and crew. So, what's the next step after helicopters? Enter drones. These little devices have been a complete game changer, offering all the benefits of helicopters, without the high costs and safety risks. At first, drones were seen as toys or just for fun, but once ranchers realized the potential for using them to monitor herds, everything changed. Drones could fly over the land, providing real-time footage that allowed ranchers to track cattle movements, monitor animal health, and even check for signs of disease or injury. Imagine being able to fly a drone over your ranch and spot a cow that looks sick without ever leaving your house. That's the level of control that drones offer. They're compact, cost-effective, and easy to operate, making them the perfect tool for smaller farms or ranches with a tight budget. The beauty of drones is that they can be customized to fit specific needs, whether it's for tracking or surveillance or even herding cattle. One of the most impressive examples comes from a ranch in the US that uses a fleet of drones to help manage their 100,000-acre property. The drones give them an unparalleled view of their cattle, allowing them to act quickly if something's wrong. They can fly over the land, check on specific groups of cows, and even send data back to the ranchers, all in real time. This ability to manage vast landscapes without the need for physical presence is invaluable, especially in regions where getting on the ground can take hours or even days. What drones offer is efficiency like never before. Traditional methods would require multiple people and hours of travel. With a drone, that same task could be done in a fraction of the time, with minimal human intervention. It's a win for both ranchers and the cattle. One particular case stands out: a ranch in Australia located about 600 kilometers from Darwin, which manages up to 81,000 cattle across a sprawling 1.3 million acre property. Before adopting helicopters and drones, this operation required up to 20 people to manage and herd cattle across the land. But with the introduction of modern technologies, the operation has become far more streamlined. Helicopters are still used for certain tasks, but drones have taken over a significant portion of the monitoring and herd management. Now, instead of relying on a team of people to cover every inch of the ranch owner and his team can monitor everything remotely, using technology to track cattle, health, movements, and even environmental changes that could impact the animals. These advancements have allowed for a more sustainable approach to ranching, By using drones and helicopters in tandem, the ranch is able to minimize its carbon footprint, reduce the need for physical labor, and ultimately produce more with less. This is especially important as ranching operations continue to scale up and expand into previously untapped areas. The results are clear: efficiency, safety, and better overall management of livestock. And it's not just the large ranches that benefit from these innovations. Smaller farms, where labor and resources are often limited, are finding new ways to use drones to monitor their herds in real time without having to invest in expensive equipment or hire a large workforce. While traditional cattle ranching was incredibly labor-intensive, modern technology is changing the game, making it possible to do more with fewer people and less effort. From drones to advanced helicopter technology, ranchers are now equipped with tools that were once unimaginable. The future of cattle ranching is no longer about struggling against the elements or spending days tracking down livestock. It's about using cutting-edge technology to make ranching more efficient, sustainable, and smarter than ever before. One of the most compelling examples of how technology is reshaping cattle transportation comes from the Northern Territory in Australia, home to one of the largest cattle stations in the world, the Wave Hill Station. This vast property, stretching over 1.3 million acres, supports around 80,000 cattle, and it's no small feat to manage such an expansive area. For decades, the station was run with traditional methods, relying heavily on horseback riders and helicopters. But as the costs of maintaining helicopters soared and labor became harder to come by, the station's owner, Chris Miller, knew something had to change. Chris, a fourth-generation rancher, had always been keen on technology, but never imagined it could replace the human touch so effectively. That is, until he saw the potential of drones. In 2017, Wave Hill Station took the leap into the world of aerial drones, becoming one of the first large-scale ranches in Australia to use them for livestock management. Now, instead of relying on a small army of people and helicopters, Chris and his team use a fleet of custom-built drones to monitor the cattle. Each drone is equipped with infrared cameras, GPS tracking, and even thermal sensors that detect cattle movements in real time, no matter the time of day or weather conditions. The drones can cover vast stretches of land, giving Chris a bird's-eye view of the ranch that was previously only possible with helicopters. The drones have completely changed how we work, says Chris. Before, it was a full day's job just to check on the herd. Now, we can do it in an hour, all from a tablet in the office. The impact of drones on Wave Hill Station has been profound. Not only has the ranch reduced its dependency on helicopters, saving both time and money, but it's also increased efficiency. For instance, routine checkups that used to take a team of 5 on horseback for days now take a single person just 30 minutes via drone. In terms of monitoring cattle health, the drone's thermal sensors are able to spot sick animals or any signs of distress immediately. The time saved has allowed Chris to focus on other areas of ranch management, such as breeding and feed distribution. With the drones now in action, Chris has noticed a significant reduction in labor costs and an increase in the overall health and productivity of the herd. We're catching problems early, and we're not wasting time or resources on things that don't need attention, he adds. The success of Wave Hill Station is a testament to how technology, when applied thoughtfully, can enhance traditional farming methods. By embracing drones, this iconic cattle station has managed to stay competitive in an ever-changing industry, proving that the future of agriculture lies in the fusion of old-world knowledge and new-world innovation. The challenges of cattle transportation and herd management are not unique to Australia. They're felt across the globe, from the wide-open plains of the American Midwest to the vast grasslands of Kazakhstan. And in each region, the application of technology is transforming how farmers address these issues. In the United States, where cattle farming is a multi-billion-dollar industry, ranchers in states like Texas and Wyoming have also turned to drones and helicopters to manage their large herds. In fact, in Texas alone, there are over 13 million cattle, and ranchers face the daunting task of covering thousands of acres. Here, the widespread adoption of drone technology has helped reduce the time it takes to locate cattle from hours to minutes, offering a huge leap in efficiency. The drones also help track cattle movements, ensuring they stay within designated grazing areas, preventing them from straying too far and getting lost in the rugged terrain. Similarly, in Kazakhstan, a country with a long history of nomadic herding, new technologies are being introduced to revolutionize cattle management. While traditionally, herders would move their cattle by foot across the steppes, modern drones are now being used to scout the land, ensuring that herders can monitor the health of the cattle and detect any signs of illness or injury in the large herds. The addition of drones has allowed these herders to cover vast stretches of land much more quickly, without losing the personal touch that's been integral to the culture of Kazakh herding. From Australia to the US, and even Central Asia, the problems remain the same: vast distances, large herds, and a need for efficiency. What these regions share is an increasing reliance on technology to meet these demands. The adaptability of drones, helicopters, and other innovations showcases the universal nature of the challenges and the effectiveness of modern solutions in diverse agricultural landscapes. Imagine a vast, rugged Australian landscape. The sun beats down on the endless stretch of red dirt, and far below, a herd of cattle slowly moves across the terrain. In the distance, a small figure on horseback struggles to keep up with the thousands of animals scattered across the land. This was once the reality for ranchers, who relied solely on horseback to herd their cattle. It could take days to gather the animals, and the task was grueling, dangerous, and nearly impossible to complete alone. Now, picture that same scene, but with a dramatic shift. The sound of a helicopter's blades cuts through the air as it swoops down from the sky. With precision, the helicopter pilot directs the herd, herding them into a central location within hours, tasks that would have once taken days. The contrast is almost unbelievable. Where there was once exhaustion and frustration, now there is speed and efficiency. This transformation is not just about technology, it's about a revolution in how we think about farming, technology, and sustainability. The transition from traditional methods to modern machinery doesn't just offer logistical advantages, it changes the lives of farmers. For a pilot like Sarah, managing an enormous cattle herd in the Northern Territory of Australia, the helicopter is more than just a tool, it's a lifeline. Sarah recalls, "Before we started using helicopters, we'd lose hours just trying to round them up, sometimes a whole day. Now, we can get it done in half the time with far less risk." As the helicopter pulls away, the view of the herd now gathered in the central pen shows a clear, powerful image of what innovation can achieve. The same challenges that once seemed insurmountable, large distances, thousands of cattle, the harsh landscape, are now met head-on with the touch of a button. What was once seen as impossible is now routine. The technology doesn't just save time, it saves lives, it saves resources, and most importantly, it brings a level of efficiency that was once unimaginable. The awe here is in realizing just how far agriculture has come in adapting to these challenges. It's a perfect example of how innovation can take something as ancient as farming and breathe new life into it, all while preserving the core traditions that make it so essential to our world. Looking ahead, the future of agriculture and cattle farming is poised for even more groundbreaking innovations. While drones and helicopters have already revolutionized the way farmers manage large herds, these are just the beginning. As technology continues to advance, we can expect even more sophisticated solutions, like AI-powered livestock monitoring, autonomous vehicles, and even genetic technologies to help farmers manage cattle health and optimize breeding. The possibilities are endless. What we're witnessing today is a shift towards smarter, more sustainable farming. These technologies aren't just improving efficiency, they're making farming safer and more eco-friendly. For instance, using drones to monitor cattle allows farmers to detect early signs of disease, reducing the need for large-scale treatments that harm the environment. Moreover, as the global population grows, the need for more efficient and sustainable agricultural practices has never been more pressing. Innovations in cattle transport and farming will be crucial in meeting this demand without compromising the planet. But these advancements also bring with them new challenges. As we continue to adopt these high-tech solutions, we must ensure that smaller farmers have access to the same resources as the larger operations. The digital divide could threaten the inclusivity of these innovations, leaving some communities behind. Ultimately, the future of agriculture will depend on how well we balance innovation with tradition. It's about combining the lessons of the past with the promise of the future, creating a system that works not just for the farmers, but for the entire planet. As we reflect on the advancements we've seen so far, it's clear that the cattle industry, like agriculture in general, is at the forefront of a massive transformation, one that will shape our world for generations to come. In the end, it all comes back to this. Innovation, when used wisely, doesn't just improve lives, it changes them. And that's something worth looking forward to. If you're fascinated by how technology is changing the world of farming, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think the future holds for agriculture? Let's discuss.